to the Body Slam TNA post show. I'm joined always by my good buddy Io. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing? Hey.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the TNA Body Slam post show. I'm joined always by my good buddy Io. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Chilling. Happy 4th of July, everyone. How's your day going, bro?
Good. Definitely. Just starting a little bit. I know you're 3 hours ahead of me, but yeah. It's going good. It's already pretty nice out. It looks really nice out where you are. That's not a background either. That's real life. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah. I was just going for a walk, and I figured, it's a good, maybe a good area to do a little, do a podcast and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Joey, what's up? How you doing, man?
What's up?
Okay, just want to remind everyone that before we start this week's podcast, is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that move, it might actually stick rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. We know you're all going to need that on those nasty-ass gym mats. On top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off your first order. Okay. Before we get into TNA, let's get into a little NXT TNA. And I want you to take this one. I wasn't able to catch up. What went down on NXT TNA, as we like to call it? I think most people call it.
Yeah, NXT TNA. As we know, last Monday, Santino, officially announced that it's going to be, the world title match is going to be a triple threat. Trick Williams defending against Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. Before I get to the NXT, what's your take? Right call? Like, do you prefer being a triple threat, or did you prefer being a singles?
Using putting my heart first, I was upset just because I don't want to take away from Santana's moment, but at the same time, putting business first, adding Joe Hendry and adding more eyes doesn't hurt, and that's a smart move. So I'm not going to knock it at the end of the day. Joe Hendry's still incredibly over, and anyone who disputes that doesn't obviously watch TNA. Because obviously, because I remember a couple weeks ago, people were saying that, the pop in the NXT, the pop in the NXT building was a little bit quieter. And to that, I say, one, they're in the same place every week. A lot of the same fans. And two, if you watch TNA, he's over everywhere they go. And when he was on the bigger stage of WWE, he was way over. So he's still very over. So adding him to this match is smart.
Definitely. I think yeah, you put the nail there. Joe, he carried the flag of TNA, for the past few months and stuff, from being champion to the Rumble and WrestleMania, and being that Slammiversary is one of their 2 biggest pay-per-views of the years. You had to have Henry be a big part of the show. and hence being the world title. Also, like this is his rematch, so
Yeah.
there's no really dispute in there of like, yeah, you would have to have Hendry, part of the card. And at the same time, like, Mike Santana, I mean, we've been high on him too. Like, we figure like he's bound to kind of take that next throne, so to speak. So you have the right, as far as I'm concerned, you have the right two people like going up against Trick. So it's going to be like, very, interesting how we, get to get to July 20. Two baby faces. No, two of the actually two of the biggest baby faces on the roster. And the key goal is to like take rescue the title away from Trek and bring it back to TNA. So it's a right call. I think a 3-way will do fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no like dispute, like just going back to Joe Henry, like it wasn't the TNA champion that was the first to show up in NXT. It was Joe Henry, if I believe, because you know what I mean. He was arguably the biggest star. You know what I mean. He was the most recognizable guy. You know what I mean. He would, whether it was the song, he was going viral. You know what I mean. Like every week, giving viral moments. So just adding him to this match, I think also too, it could help cement Santana, just because not only is he potentially could win the title back for TNA, he could arguably he could pin the biggest star in Joe. I wouldn't do that, but if you have him go in there and on his way to getting the pin to Santana, I mean getting the pin on Trick, kind of getting the upper hand on Joe, you know what I mean? That could go a long way. So I don't think it's in the long run. I don't think it hurts Santana having Joe in this match. I know some people might think it does, but I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't. It's just coming from certain folks who are really into Joe Hendry, like because like yeah, both guys are gonna get cheered.
Yeah.
Hendry, everyone fans love him. Santana, it's his hometown in New York. And then you have the opposite of Trick being the bad guy and whatnot. I think yeah, everyone just needs to calm down. The main event's gonna be pretty fine. And I can't wait to be there live in person. Yeah. So yeah,
I know
moving along.
that's really.
All right.
Oh,
What were you about to say? Yeah.
I was gonna say that's so cool, just because like you know what I mean. That's like one of the big four TNA pay per views. So I'm assuming
Yeah.
something big's gonna happen along with some title changes. You know what I mean? And also that's just that there's a lot of wrestling going on that month. So this month, so I think a lot's gonna happen. There's free agents. I just think you're gonna see a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? I think you're in for a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait, man. Yeah, like you said, it's one of the big pay-per-views. It's like going to TNA's SummerSlam or WrestleMania version or whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very stacked show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. Oh yeah, so to move it along to NXT. So Joe Hendry was in action against Wesley, and Trick was on commentary. Pretty decent opener. He kicked off the show. Um, Trick was trash talking, while Joe was busy with Wes, and then Wes's buddies from the High Rise or the High Rise got involved, and then in comes Santana, to even the odds. Then Joe, gets the victory, and both Joe and Santana, they're in the ring. They stare down at Trick. God, yeah. What I like is like NXT programming is like helping build Slammiversary, which is like another cool thing about this, relationship. Don't you agree?
Yeah. That's another thing. You hit it. I completely agree with you. Just because, yeah, we're almost getting double the build. You know what I mean? And so that could only help. You know what I mean? They're promoting the hell out of the show. So yeah,
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. So next week, Joe and Mike will team up and tag against Wes's boys, and then another big scoop at NXT's next PLE, the Great American Bash. Joe, Trick, and Santana, they're gonna have like a contract signing, which is pretty cool too, because like a contract signing for a TNA pay per view happening in a WWE ring, which is pretty rad. So, but don't you think?
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think Booker T should be the moderator, just because with his TNA ties, you know what I mean. That would just be it will probably be Ava, obviously, but I would have or Santino, but I would have Booker T do it.
Yeah, I think Santana will be there probably because
Yeah,
TNA business. But yeah, that'll be cool. That Booker involves some form. So yeah. That's about it for NXT. NXT is like I said, NXT is helping to build the Slammiversary and stuff. So yeah, good so far.
and you know what? Now that I just said that in my head, I would really hope I want TNA to find some way to bring in Booker for the Slammiversary match, just because I think that it doesn't hurt to not have him, but I think that Booker's interest for Trick really adds to him, especially too because I look at Booker T as almost like how Don Callis is on commentary for his guys. Like Booker really is almost like his mouthpiece during his match, and even with this heel turn, Booker's turned heel with him. So I would like Booker to be on commentary. I think that would be really cool if they could do that.
Agree.
Okay, so what were you saying about NXT? Was anything else besides the Joe match with Wesley?
That's about it. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna get into more NXT and stuff later, but yeah.
Okay. So anything else you want to say before we get into the show?
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. So this week's we're gonna go into TNA. The date is 7/3/25, obviously yesterday. We're gonna start with the inspiration little knockouts action, which again that's what TNA does. We have the inspiration versus Tessa and Victoria, which if that's a team going forward, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? I think they've got you know what I mean. I like the personalities of I like how the personalities mix of both of them, of both Alicia and Tessa so far. So if that's a team, the more teams are better. I'm fine with that. And I also think that, and this is just me, I think it's putting the world title on Tessa right now is a little too hot. But I think you can sell Tessa as the Knockouts champion a little bit more. You know what I mean? I don't see a lot of negative chatter towards that one. That's just me. But going back to the match, the inspiration versus Tessa and Victoria, I really like this match, and I like Indy being on commentary because I just kept because she kept just mentioning, her ties to the inspiration, both fellow Australians. So if they become a faction at some point, the Aussie Express off the top of my head, I'd like that. And I don't want to hear anybody say that Indy's appearance there took away from this match, because I honestly think that her being there, her story with Tessa was more the bigger point. So I like this. What do you think about this match?
Yeah, this was this was a big test for the inspiration, in particularly because as they're building towards the Elegance brand match. Um, yeah. Mostly this was mostly this match was basically two things, like the inspiration, getting momentum, and of course Indy and Tessa going at it. And yeah, so far, I like how we're building that feud between those two. Like they mentioned they mentioned they have a history. Indy mentioned that too on commentary. And then Tessa being distracted with Indy led to her and Vic losing the match. And then they and Indy and Tessa went at it, and there we go. We got our another knockouts match announced.
And
And
again,
yeah, you mentioned about Tessa. Yeah, I think what's good too is like, honestly, like she's in a position where she doesn't really need the title to like stand out. She's kind of like pretty much done everything there is to do as far as like TNA wise. So like she's just kind of like trying to like up build her status, but also like build the other woman around her. Because like being
yeah,
Tessa, like it's being Tessa is like it's still like a big thing in my opinion. Or hanging with her.
yeah. And two things on Tessa. One, not winning the knockouts title is no knock at this point because that would make her a triple crown champion in TNA. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. And because that's just another notch in her resume. You know what I mean? And two, this is me being completely unbiased. I'm not going to knock her work. I can say whatever her want about like what went on off the field, but I'm not going to doubt her ability in the ring. And this is the kind of people that Indy needs to be wrestling if she's going to become better. You know what I mean? She wasn't. I don't
Exactly.
remember the last time she's had matches with people this caliber in NXT. I can't remember. Like maybe with Candice, but I don't know if she ever faced Candice. But yeah, this is the kind of match Indy needs to get better. So
Yeah.
I like this being her first feud. And this should be I don't mind this being a semi long term feud because I don't expect Indy to win the first match. I don't think Tessa's going to squash her, but I could see Indy not. I could see Tessa winning pretty convincingly to set up a rematch.
Oh yeah. I don't think it'll be like a one and done. I mean, depending on where both women, go after. But it's definitely a big test for India in particular. Can she hang with Tessa? Yeah.
I look at this feud similar to the idea of the Rosemary and Zaya feud. Rosemary trying to bring something out of Zaya. I think Indy's trying to make Indy step her game up. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I like this feud. This is a good feud right out of the gate for Indy to have.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we're gonna go into. Okay, hold on, pull my notes out. We're gonna go to the Order 4 Summit, and that's what I called it. I thought this was another. I feel like Ali's routinely in the Order 4 have routinely been in the better segments or some of the best on the TV on the show lately. I thought this was fantastic. Basically, they came out. Tasha and Skylar and Hotch came out, and they invited. She invited Mr. Ali's best friend, Cedric Alexander, to come out. And I don't remember much of Cedric on the mic, but this was a money promo by him. You know what I mean? And at first, when I was a little upset about the heavy WWE references. It wasn't like they were knocking TNA, but I really like how he told the picture of this match. You know what I mean? And I did like the shout out to him basically alleging that him and Ali put 205 live on their back because I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. But yeah, what'd you think of this?
Yeah. This was Cedric, reminding us, about him and Ali's past. Mentioning, the 205 live shout out was cool. Mentioned John Cena I mean, you remember that WrestleMania, right? Like, so yeah, John Cena was in the crowd, watching their match
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, and apparently, like, apparently it bothered, apparently that kind of bothered Ali, like, accusing Cedric, like, taking his mania moments, and like people only seen him as the main star besides Ali in the 205 Live division. So what I like is that it kind of like tells us the story. Like Ali is in some way kind of jealous of Cedric. You could say that. Like Cedric went on to do better things in the WWE. I mean, it's no secret there, but like so we're kind of like seeing like not only an unhinged Ali, but also a desperate Ali. Like he needs to take care of this quote unquote ghost that's bothering him, which is defeating Cedric and match, and there we go for Slammiversary.
You know what? Also, too, for all me saying that all the heavy WWE stuff, I always liked how I liked almost the subtle, not really turning face, but I like how Ali basically said, you had your WrestleMania moment. Now I want my moment. I want my Slammiversary moment. You know what I mean? He didn't
Yeah.
say. It's not like he was going to say WrestleMania moment, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like he wants a bigger moment. He's shouting out. I love that. You know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
that to him, that'd be the biggest is Slammiversary. So again, also too, I would expect with the Hardys, and also people people question the draw of the Hardys. I hope everyone was paying attention to that ticket sale boost. The Hardys went to New York, basically like with the Lex Luger Express, but actually had results. The tickets are up. Look at this card so far. Like that's a match. They just announced a match of the night right there, candidate.
Yeah.
So, and that's not world title. Slammiversary is already looking hot, and we got 16 plus days left. So, 16 days. So,
yeah, I saw someone put up a tweet saying the Slammiversary card is going to be better than WrestleMania card. I'm like, well, if it delivers well, then you can pretty much say that.
Yeah, they're ramping up again because you have to, when you have pay-per-views month to month, you know what I mean. You guys still got to build those, but they're turning it on right now, and I expect. I can't wait to see what else they announce. And like I said, I think that we're going to see a major boost in tickets. So,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, and yeah. So basically, just Ali doesn't need him. You know what I mean? And I like this segment just because you know what I mean. I don't know what Tessa's goal. I mean, not Tessa. I don't know what Tasha's goal was to bring in Cedric, but yeah, I love this. I love this segment and the fact that we're getting this match. And I forget where I saw it, but anyone who asks, is it too soon? No, because they basically told you it wasn't too soon because they've had a match, you know what I mean, at one of the biggest stages of wrestling at WrestleMania. So they don't need a story. The story is already built in with this. Okay. So next, let's move on to the. I would honestly think that this is either the match of the night or have to be one of the. We had Masha Slamovich taking on Killer Kelly in a chain match, and fuck, dude, I think you can add the chain match to another one of the signatures of TNA. You know what I mean? I feel like they deliver with these type of matches, whether it was a dog collar match, a chain match. This was good shit. This was hard hitting. That ending, just Masha having that lasting image of Masha having to get the win with the chain. I didn't think Killer Kelly was going to win, but you know what I mean? Masha looked, I'm not going to say she looked like squash her, but Masha looked very dominant in this match at points. So I love this. What'd you think about this?
Yeah, this was pretty hard hitting and brutality. Like with both women using the chain excessively. Like both women using the chain excessively. So what I like is that it gave basically like Masha, like she's kind of like wanting new challenges, so to speak. Like she's been having a good reign so far. Like, and I like how they mentioned like they're closing in on the Jordan's reign. So like it was pretty good. Like I saw Kelly trying to like attack, use the chain as a weapon, as a whip, and almost like get Masha's head off and big, so to speak. So like they really they really brought the best of each other, as once as partners, but now as enemies. And I like the finish, having the chain wrapped around her neck and to like have her pass out, or at least she tapped out and stuff. So it was a very good match.
Yeah, I feel like friends or former teammates like lately have just been these blood feuds have really delivered. You know what I mean? Going back to like Gargano and Ciampa, You know what I mean? These matches are just when people have chemistry with each other, or form a team, they usually go out there and just deliver a match. They know how to. They know the chemistry. They know the psychology to use. So, yeah, I thought this was a really good match, and I honestly think that the latter half of Masha's title reign has really been cooking. You know what I mean? It really got slow, but now I think she's just kind of looking like that dominant champion. And I would say, just because given circumstances, just because with the TNA champion not being held by a TNA guy, I do think she is the top champion. I think Macklin's right under her, but yeah, I think Masha is the top champion in TNA. So after this match, we get none other than Fatal Influence coming out, the complete group: Jasmine Nix, Fallon Henley, and the NXT Women's Champion JC Jane, basically with a beatdown on Masha. You know what I mean? Very heelish. Eventually, Lei Lee and Xia Brookside came to her aid, which I'm assuming we're gonna see a triple threat at a trios match at some point. I would hope. But yeah, I like this, and I believe, and I'm trying to find the date. I believe that we got the announced that we're going to get a title versus title match. And is this happening at where is this happening at?
Slammiversary.
Okay, I was for some reason in my head I thought it was Evolution just because that's before. But okay.
So
Damn.
basically, Masha will face the winner of JC and Jordan from Evolution.
Okay, that's right. I think we know where we're going here. I don't.
What are you thinking?
Well, I think if anything, because this is one of the spots I thought we were going to see an NXT title switch in the beginning. I think Masha takes it. She doesn't have to hold that NXT title long, but I think Masha takes it. You got to give TNA something. You know what I mean? Like one of the, and I think that no one is going to argue that or dispute that TNA's women's division's pedigree, the pedigree of that division. So it's not like a woman from TNA holding the NXT belt is a downgrade. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be seen as, you know what I mean? So I do think Masha takes both. I think Masha takes it. Because I do think Jordan's beating TC.
Yeah. This has been a topic, the past few hours. I think this is where TNA and NXT kind of return the favor, so to speak, from Trick winning the belts. Sorry, I know that. I know that. I know the Knockouts title division is pretty heavy right now. With Jordan and then Blake Monroe. So it's like I feel like this is the part where Masha should win, because when you think about it, it'd be pretty history,
Yeah.
Because it's think about it, if Masha does win, she'll be the first to hold the Knockouts and and NXT Women's title, which would pretty be historic, and will kind of further cement how serious this relationship is. Both promotions are really willing to trade off titles to the crossover. So that's just my take.
And see, people have to think kind of farther ahead, because right now the two biggest stars in NXT, the two most main roster ready are Jordan and Blake Monroe. I think Jordan gets called up first just because she's been there a little longer and they want to have Blake, kind of dominate the division a little bit. They're not going to have Jordan win both titles and then have her drop both titles or one of them to Blake and then call up Jordan, you know what I mean? Have Jordan with the TNA title. So if you by having Masha beat Jordan and get the NXT title, because the best match really, I don't think that once Jordan gets called up, I don't think that there's anybody currently in NXT that's on Blake Monroe's level. So then the best match you could deliver at that point would be Blake versus Masha, and I was kind of asking for that match. So yeah, I do think that I'm thinking like long term, and yeah, so I think this is where NXT returns a favor. I think that this would be the spot, just because, like I said, the NXT women's and the TNA women's division it's very strong history wise. So yeah, this would be the best spot, because I don't see currently I don't see them dropping any other NXT titles, Tim. I don't see the spot. So this, I think, would be the spot. They set it up perfectly. So yeah, I think Masha wins here.
Sorry. Yeah, this is where I mentioned, like, I think it's only fair, like, because if it's the other way around and NXT gets another title, it's gonna raise a lot of questions, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then people will really start complaining. You know what I mean? And then we don't need that chatter. So
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Next, we're gonna go into, which I thought was really good shit, just for it being very quick. It was just a Northern Armory promo, and EY was just kind of saying that Sinner and Saint Judas Icarus and Travis Williams let him down last week. And you know what I mean? I'm trying to remember who spoke, if it was either Icarus or Travis. But one of them just said, let us prove you. Like let us show you. I mean, that we'll do anything. And EY said, prove it. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I like that they're showing some, I like how they're giving Sinner and Saint more time, because they should. But what do you think about this? Just a little quick segment.
Yeah, EY. This was EY. Being a little too angry, like being embarrassed that he was escorted out by he was escorted out of the ring last week, and then you have the hometown man of all people making a mockery. Well, I mean, like being backstage, and insulting his intelligence, like that's not Cody, like he's not Cody Deaner and whatnot. So yeah, EY is just in EY is just in a bad mood right now, and he's taking it out on Judas and Travis. So yeah, he wants well I mean, as a leader should, like him, he expects like as a leader, he expects perfection, like don't make a fool out of him, whatnot. So we'll see what Travis and Icarus do about the basically like reading the riot act is like what EY did to them. So we'll see how it goes there.
Following that, we just had a quick little Santana promo. Basically, just said that he will be TNA World Champion. I thought, the more and more this guy's given the ball, the more and more he proves. I kind of look at his run so far as kind of the way that they build up Steve Macklin. You know what I mean? I think it's just similar. So yeah, the standard of TNA just continues to cut good promos. So yeah, I like this. What about you?
Yeah, another I mentioned too in the group chat. It's another good promo that yeah, Santana, like what you like about his promo, it's coming from the heart. Like what you see is what you get, what you're hearing is who he is. Like that's like what we like. That's what we like about him, and it's like he's just kind of you just kind of relate to him with these promos, and it's very good.
Yeah, and I remember saying this too, like just going back to when we were talking about speaking of our group chat. I think Santana is just a guy that, even though he left TNA, I think a lot of people still see him as a TNA guy. Also too, him being part of LAX. Those three letters carry weight with TNA fans. So I think that he's always going to be seen as a TNA guy. So people are kind of ready we're all kind of in this journey with him. in this ascension to being world champion. So I think people are ready for it. Next we have, which it's funny that he's in a group with Brian Myers being called the most professional wrestler, because I also think you could call Eddie Edwards that. It was Eddie Edwards versus Matt Cardona. I made the joke. I was when I was writing this, taking notes for this match. I wrote, "Is Cardona always ready?" Because that's what his song says. Because he just hangs around the building. You know what I mean? Because it just seems like he's always there of late. He's hanging around. I know he's not signed, but he won't leave. But I thought this was a good match. I'll wait. Why? I can't remember the last time Eddie Edwards had a bad match. You know what I mean? And it's not his vocabulary. What'd you think about this? While we wait for Aya to come back. Yeah, I thought Eddie, in terms of, like I was saying, I think everybody that steps in the ring with him looks good. It's not like a Cardona is some scrub, but yeah, I thought this was a good match for what it was. It almost seemed like this was more of a angle match in terms of, because obviously toward the end of the match, Brian Myers came out, and because Eddie Edwards was trying to cheat, and Brian Myers kind of prevented him that, and because of that, it led to the distraction and Cardona getting pinned. So again, I'm sorry I keep mentioning this, but this is a 3 Live Crew James Gang storyline all over again. Brian Myers is torn. I do think Brian Myers will leave the system eventually. I think that's where we're headed. But what do you think about all this?
Yeah. Cardona, Edwards. Yeah, it was good, decent. Yeah, it's kind of like again, furthering the tensions Myers is sort of having with the system, and it led to like Cardona, picking up the win. And Myers is kind of confused because against his former partner, and he's facing his current tag partner. So
yeah, again, this is one of those things too where I know a lot of wrestlers, people wondering what's the history if they just watch TNA. I know that Brian Myers and Cardona have been friends for decades. A few decades. It seems like 20. I think someone said 20 years. So yeah, this is a relationship that goes deep. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Even though I think that on the surface it seems like an obvious heel turn, an obvious face turn for Cardona. I mean, not Cardona. I think this is an obvious turn for. It's an obvious turn for Myers leaving the system. I do think they're going to stretch it out as long as they can. So, yeah, I do like this, just because the system had been going on a little bit long. So, if you can kind of start to break them up, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? And if it's Myers first, and if it goes back to him and Cardona being a team, I think they're always entertaining together. So that's fine. Yeah. But after the match, after the match, we get Dark Retribution, Dark State, Slapjack. Slapjack.
Dark Shield or Dark Retribution, I like to call them.
Yeah. But although, shout out to our buddy Kyle.
Timu Shield, Timu Retribution. Yeah. All right. Dark State. Yeah, Dark State, for if anyone's, wondering. Yeah.
I'm not going to, I'm going to let it, because, I do. Oh, yeah. I do like Dion. It's Dion Lennox, Saquon Sugars, Cutler James, and who was the other one?
I forgot the other name. Wait, can you find it real quick on the group chat? I forgot his other name. You meant
Dion Lennox, Cyrus Griffin.
Dion Lennox, Cutler James, Griffin. Cyrus Griffin. Say again.
Osiris Griffin.
Osiris Griffin, Dion Lennox, Cutler James, and Shaquan
Sugars, yeah.
Your corn sugars, yeah. Yeah,
And
it's gonna be
I
hard.
don't know. I only really know of Dion Lennox through NXT, but shout out to our buddy Kyle, who he's high on Saquon Sugars. I'm blanking on his name, but I believe he's a former DPW guy. So,
Yeah,
he's very high on him. Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's not like this group doesn't have talent. It's just, I feel like this is a very WWE, like one of their go-to gimmicks. I feel like they've done this kind of Shield type thing many times. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Just in general, you kind of send a group of, I don't know. I feel like going back to since I've been watching Nexus, WWE with Nexus, I feel like they've always kind of done, you send a group of guys out there to kind of run roughshod, you know what I mean, to try to get them over. But yeah,
yeah.
this
What's
is
wrong
fine.
with what's wrong with the problem with the group is that
I was just having a little technical difficulties. Give him a second. While he fixes that, let me just. I don't. I would think this is where he's going. To me, again, I just feel like this group just feels a little redundant. But at the same time, again, they're trying. Uh, it's something. But like I said, it just feels a little. I don't know. Tired would be a little rude. And I'm not averse to being calling something tired or being rude. But yeah, no. Again, I want to see where they go because if they're bringing them in, they're attacking Cardona. Obviously, they might have, this might lead to something. And if give me Cardona, Brian Myers, and two other people versus Darkseid in, give me a lethal lockdown match. Sounds pretty good to me. But like I said, I don't know much of these four. I know Dion Lennox the most, but that's just because I watch NXT. But yeah, I want to see where this goes, just because you know what I mean. It's TNA. I'm obviously very interested in anything that happens in TNA, so I'm definitely here for this. Okay. After that, we go to a quick backstage segment where 8 hometown man has been taken out. Someone has unmasked him. Sami Callihan is there on the scene calling for help. But again, this is interesting too because they're really pushing hometown man, which, they should. He's extremely over. More over than his doppelganger, Cody Deaner. But yeah, no, this is fine. Let's give him something. Okay, after that, we're gonna go into a Jake something Mance Warner match. Mance Warner being accompanied by SDL. I like this as well. I thought this was good. I like how we're not wasting any time bringing Jake something back into the fold. And Mance again continuing. This is a great signing for TNA. No one's really talking about it as much as I would think, but I think he fits TNA very well. Oh, and Steve Macklin was on commentary for this match, and I like that just because I feel like so far Steve Macklin's international title run has been better than his world title run, and I just think that I don't know why, for whatever reason, maybe it's because he wasn't the focal point when he was TNA champion for whatever reason, but I just feel like that they're giving him more. And again, I think part of it is with him being, you could say that he's the top champion in TNA. So, yeah, just because he's kind of holding down the ship right now with Trick being the world champion. But yeah, this match ended in a no contest. you know, for what it was, I thought it was good, really good. You know what I mean? I didn't need a finish because I thought that the bigger picture was kind of Steve Macklin scouting. But I like this. Again, Jake Something's looking really good since he's coming back. Okay. Next, we're going to go into Nick Nemeth versus Zachary Wentz. This was supposed to be this was supposed to be Trey Miguel, but I believe Trey Miguel is hurt. So we go into, and I thought this was a really good match. I really like that. One, I really like that they're building up this feud, Rascals versus Nemeth brothers. But two, I think that Nick Nemeth is much better in this role. You know, I didn't really want to see him as the world champion. And so him as NXT champ, I mean his tag team champion with his brother. I like this gimmick. I like how they settled into it. His brother continues to entertain me. Yeah, this was a good match. Zach Wentz is awesome. If I don't know how long Trey Miguel is going to be hurt, but while he's hurt, more Zach Wentz singles action is. I'm fine with that. Okay, Isle's back. Isle, before we continue, I want to hear your opinions on Dark State. What were you saying?
Yeah, my bad. So yeah, I was saying that the problem was with Dark State, like they don't have like there's not really like leadership directions. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's like, like, okay, what are they doing? They're attacking guys, this and that. I mean, they're attacking big names. Oh, I mean, they're attacking big names. I'll give them that, like Obafemi, Javon Evans, and whatnot, and Matt Cardona. So
Okay. Well, we get Io back. He's just having a little bit of technical difficulty today. That it happens. It's happening to me today. As you guys notice, I'm not on camera. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we did get announced that next week's TNA we're getting a triple threat for the national title. Jake Something, Mance Warner, and Steve Macklin. That should be hard hitting.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Did you go to the Jake something Mance Warner match yet?
Yeah, I was talking about that. And I was just adding.
Okay.
I just said that, I said that I really liked it. I had also mentioned though that I think that just because Steve Macklin was on commentary, I think that they're doing a lot more with him that they did when he was world champion. I think it's a combination of the fact that I think that just before he wasn't the focal point when he was world champion for whatever reason, and because right now they're kind of making him the flag bearer of TNA just because he's the other top champion with the world champion not being held by a TNA guy. I feel like they're doing more to make him the guy this round. But yeah, this match ended in a no contest, and we're getting a triple threat next week. But what'd you think about this match? Okay, while we wait for Io to get back. Go back into Nick Nemeth and Zach Wentz.
Oh, sorry, Bird. You didn't hear me. Oh, my bad. I was on mute. My bad.
Okay,
My bad. Yeah, my bad.
no
I was
worries.
on mute. Yeah, I was saying that. Macklin. Yeah, he's the go-to. He feels like he's the go-to champion because they don't like having Trick being the champ, and
Yeah,
like he has heavy contenders right now, and yeah, and then Jake and Mance.
and yeah, I honestly think that that's going to be. I would main event with that, and I think that's going to be. That could be a contender for match of the year right there. I think you've got three guys who work similar styles. I think they all can brawl, but you have three guys that work different styles. You know what I mean? Jake Sutton's definitely going to add that athletic, in there for being a big guy. But I think that's going to be a very good match. And once again, because they've been getting a lot of hate lately, I think that when people could kind of shake their head when they hear a triple threat match, but I think that that's a caveat when I think there's an asterisk next to it when it's in TNA, just because I think TNA does triple threat matches better than anybody. So I think this will be really good. Okay. When you were gone, I was getting into Nick Nemeth and Zach Wentz. What'd you think about this? I mentioned Trey Miguel was hurt, so Wentz had to fill in. But I don't think this was any downgrade. I think Zach Wentz is very good. And I honestly think people sleep on him at times. And I don't know how long Trey is going to be hurt, but more Zach Wentz singles matches. But what'd you think of this?
Yeah. And what's funny? Like, I think this is what. You remember? I don't know if you saw. Like, they posted.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? They posted what?
All right. So So what I'm saying, like,
Oh, and while we wait for Io to get back, I'm sorry, guys. It was a long night last night, so I wasn't able. I'm missing some of my notes, but how can I forget? Zach Wentz was coming to the ring last night by Myron Reed, who wants to rascal. He's alive. He's probably, just because he's not in TNA, he's still a rascal. So he comes out with Zach, and I don't know if we're going to get the pairing of Zach and Myron going forward, but if that's the case, give me Zach and Myron versus the Nemeth at Slammiversary. That'll be an absolute banger. So yeah, no, this match was very good. Nemeth is good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say the Nemeth's not good. So the combination of Nemeth and Wentz, yes, this was a very good match. Nemeth gets the win. I like that, just in terms of, because you need to keep the Nemeth strong. They are the tag team champions. So yeah, I'm fine with that. But if this is the bigger picture, is Myron and Wentz is going to be the pairing for the Nemeth brothers, I like that. So what'd you think about all this?
Yeah, I mentioned Myron coming back is pretty interesting. See where that leads to. And I mentioned that Wentz got an award, for pulling double duty on one night, which was kind of like this match we were talking about. So very, very good, very good showing. Nick came out with the win and stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, like there's nothing wrong with, because me and Datia would talk about it all the time. Like, I don't want to see my tag team champions losing in singles matches all the time. You know what I mean? Because again, if it's not going to be a tag match, there's no reason to have them losing in singles matches. This was good, and Zachary Wentz, I could see him being the TNA All-Star for the week, having to pull double duty, like you said. Okay, next we're going to get the main event segment, which was the debut of the King's Speech with Frankie Kazarian. I thought this was money. Him playing the instigator as the host. This is heel talk shows 1-on-1. He brings out Joe. He brings out Trick. He brings out Mike Santana. Also, if everyone saw breaking news, Joe had a different outfit on, which I'm not one of the people who knocked him wearing the same thing, but I just noticed it this week. So like that's funny.
Yeah.
At first when this segment came out, because I've seen a few people calling for it, I was like, wait, is this the way they're going to get Kazarian in that match, make it a fatal 4-way? That didn't happen. But the segment kind of
I had that same thinking too. Like
did you?
yeah, I had that same thinking too. But then I realized, well, I mean, because like especially when Frankie said like, unfortunately, I'm not in the match, but my lawyers are working out. Like, typical, heel thing to say. But yeah, I think it's gonna, but I think it's gonna stay a 3-way because all three men, are doing NXT appearances currently too. So I don't think TNA is
Yeah.
gonna, you know, pull a late edition like that. But yeah. As far as the King speech, I like it. Frankie, as good as the talent he is, he's also good. You can also put him at anything. Like, obviously commentary, he's done that, and I guess he's having a talk show now, which should be pretty interesting. But I mean, but like as we know, if anyone knows Frankie as we do, like he just loves to talk, like loves to talk. So this is right up his alley. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And yeah, no, Frankie can do anything. Talk shows, obviously he can wrestle. Fuck, I remember it. I remember at one point he did a pretty good AJ Styles impersonation. When when he came to the ring dressed as AJ Styles, he even had the vest on. He did the thing with the gloves. Kazarian's multi-talented. But yeah, I thought this was a very fun segment. Again, segments like this don't usually end in peace, so this ended with the heels kind of attacking the faces. I could see this leading to a tag match. It would be funny if the stip of the tag match is if Kazarian's team wins, he gets out of the match. So that'd be automatically, I would see the faces team winning that. Because again, I don't think Kazarian has any reason to be in that match. But yeah, this was good. Okay. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank everybody for joining. Again, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties about today's show. No cam for me, and I was having a little bit of audio issues on his end. No worries. Obviously we'll be back to full strength next week. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I want to thank everyone for joining me in the chats. Obviously, Joe is always here. I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe this video. Subscribe to Body Slam so you can get notified whenever we go live or when any of the great people on Body Slam goes live. Got everyone over there just puts out great shit. You know what I mean? Pay attention to everything they do. I want to thank Io for joining me live. Again, I don't know if we'll be able to get him back by the time we close out. But yeah, thank you. You can follow me on X at Burt Mackin 11. Follow Io at Frequency Io. He's always fucking tweeting out great TNA shit. Yeah, follow both of us and make sure to join us next week. And we'll see you later. Thank you guys. Bye.